Welcome into another episode of Tailgate Talk SEC, and welcome to the best week in the college football calendar. I am Will Thomas. We've got week 14, Rivalry Week, coming at you guys today. I mean, this slate of games, right? Maybe not every single one totally tickles your fancy. Maybe not every single one is something you get totally excited about. I'm very excited for every single second of football that we're getting this weekend. Obviously, the last week of the regular season. We're going to see who's going to Atlanta. After this week, we have all those scenarios. And this is a very playoff implication heavy week for obvious reasons. This is most teams' last auditions for the committee to try and get a spot. So let's just get right into it. We've got tons of games to go through. This will be a better preview week than it was last week. So let's just start off. Missouri at Arkansas. Missouri is laying 2.5 in this spot. 55.5 is the total. As I'm recording this, we don't know what's happening in that meeting at Missouri with Eli Drinkwitz. We know that he is the second guy at LSU if Lane falls through. So is there any chance, given this meeting, given all these conversations, that Missouri maybe isn't totally focused? Do they have some of this noise surrounding their head coach that will kind of get into their heads a little bit? And on the other side, Arkansas is going to be playing with more house money than you can possibly imagine. They have nothing to lose. They're 2-9. This is their home finale. I mean, the offense should be totally unlocked, almost like irrationally explosive should be their game plan. And you have to just let these playmakers for Arkansas like Taylor Green, Mike Washington Jr., Omega Blake, just let them have one last hurrah in the season, right? Just let them totally click, let them keep going. And Missouri's defense, it is good enough to where they can limit some of that, but really nobody can stop Arkansas's offense. We saw Notre Dame do it in week whatever that was early on in the year. Really no one since then has been able to totally shut down Arkansas's offense because of how good those playmakers are and just how electric it is. And my question for Missouri is, does Bo Perbula look any more comfortable going against now an Arkansas defense that could not be more opposite of Oklahoma's? Oklahoma's defense is one of the best in the country. Arkansas's defense is one of the worst. It is flat out awful. And I do believe that Missouri should give Ahmad Hardy a good curtain call of a game this week. Let him get the 200 yards because he can. He absolutely can against this Arkansas defense. I think this game could be a fireworks show. And I think I want Arkansas, given how close the game profiles to be, plus the Eli Drinkwitz stuff. This game is in Fayetteville. So give me Arkansas 31-24. I think this is a pretty fun one. It'll go under the radar a little bit, given how many other great games are on Saturday, both in the SEC and in other conferences. But give me Arkansas in that spot. Next up, Palmetto Bowl. Clemson at South Carolina. Carolina is laying 3.5 with a total at 46.5. This game was supposed to be beautiful in the preseason. Now nobody even cares. Clemson was supposed to be a title contender. South Carolina was going to be in the CFP mix. It's all dead. It's all dead. But Shane Beamer still has South Carolina fighting. I thought that we weren't going to see any kind of effort against Coastal, but they absolutely bombed them. Did South Carolina. That was promising to see. And Clemson has rattled off 3 straight wins, which includes a win at Louisville. And which team, what I like to look at for some of these spots is which team has the game wreckers on their roster. I think it's South Carolina. Lenore Sellers over Cade Klubnik, advantage Sellers. Nick Harbor over Antonio Williams, advantage Harbor. And Dylan Stewart over both Peter Woods and TJ Parker. At those 3 spots, Carolina has the advantage in game-wrecking potential. So Clemson has the more talented team overall, but I've talked about this with Carolina before. If Lenore Sellers, Nick Harbor, and Dylan Stewart are all on, those 3 can win a game by themselves. They fell off in the second half, but in the first half, those 3 guys against A&M were clicking and they were up by 27. Like, those 3 guys can beat anybody. They can. We saw it happen against A&M for 30 minutes. But, so the potential is right there for Carolina with those 3 guys to really beat anybody. And I like that this game is in Columbia. I think Beamer, he's not coaching for his job, but he might kind of be coaching for his job. So I think Carolina gets up. I think they'll have a bigger swing in them. Give me Carolina 27-17 to take down Clemson. Then Kentucky is going to Louisville. Louisville favored by 3.5. Total at 47.5. Kentucky is coming off of getting sledgehammered by Vanderbilt. I'm talking sledgehammered, jackhammered, missile launcher coming in from the side. But now they go to their rival, and they're playing for a bowl game. They're 5-6, are Kentucky. And Louisville was a playoff team not that long ago. And now they're fighting for win number 8. And they're really beat up on offense this week, missing a couple of key guys. Mark Stoops has a winning record versus Louisville. I like him a lot in this rivalry. And I do wonder how much steam Louisville has left after the season has fallen apart. So I do like Kentucky a lot to at least cover the plus 3.5 here. I don't know if I'm all the way there to say that they'll win the game outright, but I think this is going to be a very, very close game and a sleepily entertaining game in that noon slot. Florida hosts Florida State. And my first note in this game is, do we have to? Florida is laying 1.5, total at 50.5. The Gators are coming off of one of the most embarrassing showings from a Florida team that I can really remember since 2 weeks ago at Kentucky. But, I mean, this team has kind of quit. They didn't seem to care that Tennessee was having their way. I think that they'll get up for FSU. But, I mean, you have to. I thought they'd get up for Tennessee, and they didn't, so maybe I'm wrong. But on the other side, Florida State, they are playing for bowl eligibility. And there's another reason for them to be up for this one, and that, obviously. My other question is, does the announcement that Mike Norvell is sticking around for next year do anything for this team? Does it give them some more confidence in their future? Does it give them, a bit of a spark, knowing like, okay, this is what we got. Let's go make a statement now that we know we have certainty on our future. Because you kind of need to be inspired in the spot if you're FSU, because on the road, their offense has really disappeared a few times. They only scored 13 versus Stanford, 10 versus Clemson, 11 versus NC State. Their best road game was against Virginia offensively, where they scored 36. Still lost. So really, there are a lot of road woes for FSU on the offensive side of the ball, and Florida's defense has the skill players to force that to happen again. The question is, do they have the effort? And there is an outside chance on Saturday morning that Florida fans have reason to be more excited than they even would be for this game. We all know what I'm talking about, but if Lane Kiffin announces he's going to Florida on Saturday, that is going to be another spark in that stadium, probably a spark in the locker room, so that could also have a major impact on this game. I think I do like Florida in this spot, just, kind of one last desperation. You have FSU at home. Billy Gonzalez wants a win as an interim head coach. I like the Gators 27-21 in this spot. I just don't like FSU on the road at all, especially offensively. Next up is Oklahoma hosting LSU. Oklahoma is laying 10.5. The total is only 36.5. This is the kind of total that you get when it is snowing in MetLife and the Jets are hosting the Bengals. But now we have it in an SEC game in rivalry week. This is Oklahoma's playoff hopes. This is all boiled down to this week. It's very binary. You win and you're in. You lose and you're dead. That's what it is for Oklahoma this week, because 10-2 Oklahoma has a seat saved for them in the playoff. They're ranked number 8 right now. They have one of the best resumes in the country. And 9-3 Oklahoma is probably dead in the water. They have a marquee win over Alabama, a good one over Tennessee. 3 losses is just a lot of losses, especially when you have so many potential 2-loss teams fighting for that same spot. So if you're Oklahoma, win and you're in. And the good news for them is that I don't really know how LSU scores points in this game. LSU's offense has really been struggling, and you're going into an Oklahoma defense who is one of the best in the country and probably getting R. Mason Thomas back this week. And looking at LSU, they scored 44 points, not against Western Kentucky last week, but in their last 3 games combined, which includes Western Kentucky, and it includes an Arkansas defense who is one of the worst in the country. I don't see LSU, honestly, getting to 10, but I'm not sure I see Oklahoma getting to 20 either, because their offense can't really click consistently. They're good for an explosive game, but not much more outside of that. And LSU's defense is great. The defense is very, very good. You've seen them still show up game after game. This game might be 1st to 13. Like, if you thought that Missouri and Oklahoma last week was boring, this game is going to redefine the concept of boredom for you. I think I like Oklahoma not to slip, though. Finish their playoff push. Give me the Sooners, truly, 14-6. Like, this game is going to be really slow. But I think that plays into Oklahoma, what they want to do. I trust their defense to even get a turnover, get a strip sack or something like that with R. Mason Thomas. So I trust Oklahoma to win that game in that style more than I do LSU. So give me the Sooners to go to 10-2 and cement their playoff bid. Georgia goes to Georgia Tech, but not really. They're playing in Mercedes-Benz. Georgia is laying 13.5, total at 59.5. Georgia Tech, if they weren't already, right, they're playing with their backs against the wall now, because now they have their 2nd loss overall. They're still trying to make a push for the playoff. And they also want some revenge on Georgia for that absolute heartbreaker last season. So they'll be up for this game. And I have no question, though, that Georgia is going to be up for this game with Kirby Smart running the team. He'll be telling them that this is an elimination game for him for the playoff, even though it's not. They need Bama to lose to make it to the SEC. So you can't bank on that. You have to go win this game, get to 11-1, so it won't matter. And Georgia is playing their best football right now. They beat Mississippi State by 20, Texas by 25, and they handled Charlotte. And Georgia Tech is going the opposite direction. In their last 3 games, they've allowed 48, 34, and 42 points on defense. And their best win now is that home game versus Clemson where they had to win on a walk-off field goal. That win means nothing anymore. It means nothing. So I think this is really just as simple as Georgia is clicking and they become a buzzsaw. Georgia Tech is falling off a cliff and they're on fraud watch for me. I think Tech's pretenders. and they've been really fun to watch. I've been cheering for them all year, but now looking at their body of work, pretenders. They're pretenders. So I got Georgia rolling in this game, 38-17. I think they handle business and get to 11-1, and maybe they'll go to Atlanta, but if not, they will be in the college football playoff. Let's go to the Egg Bowl. Ole Miss is laying 7.5 in Starkville. Total is 62.5. And the elephant in the room has nothing to do with the players in this game, which sucks because this is one of my favorite games on the college football calendar. But it feels increasingly more likely that Lane is going to leave Ole Miss, given what's happening in the last few weeks, which is just a massive cloud over this game, over Ole Miss's team. So how focused are they? How has practice been this week? With the players knowing, the players know what's going on. I'm sure that in their minds, they're like, this guy's probably gone. So how has practice been this week? Because Mississippi State is not just a pile of garbage that you can roll out your C- effort and beat them with. They're a really talented team who has played a lot of really great teams close. And they will beat you if you're sleeping. So for Mississippi State, right, can Fluff Bothwell and Devon Booth, who is out for the first half of this game, can they create a steady rushing attack on the 13th best run defense in the SEC that Ole Miss has? That will help you set up Blake Shapen to Brennan Thompson downfield and some of those passing explosives that we've seen Mississippi State be able to hit in some of their bigger games. But on the flip side, what can Kejuan Lacey do to this Mississippi State defense? State has the worst rush defense in the country. Conference. Worst rush defense in the conference. And Kejuan Lacey has dominated really good running units. So what can he do in Game 12 against a really bad one? I think the game's going to be decided primarily on the ground, but a game changer could definitely come from a turnover. Does one quarterback try and play hero ball on a drive late in the third quarter? Does one running back get one too many carries a drive, his arms are tired, he puts the ball on the ground? This game, I think, is going to be very, very close, very competitive, and one of those rivalry games that just comes down to a late mistake, something like that. I have no clue where Ole Miss is going to be. I know that they'll be in Starkville. Where their mind's going to be. How focused is this team? Once again, how has practice been going this week? There's so many unknowns there. And with how talented Mississippi State is, knowing that they're fighting for a bowl game, and in their minds, the chance to keep Ole Miss out of the playoff, I like the Bulldogs here. I'm going to go Mississippi State 31-28 because of so much unknown surrounding Ole Miss and how dialed in they're going to be for this game. So we'll see how that goes. Next one we're going to go to is Vanderbilt at Tennessee. Tennessee is laying 3.5, total at 65.5. This game, now with postseason implications, is awesome. And if I had told you that in August, you would have thought, oh, Tennessee's 9-2, Vandy's just trying to keep them out of the playoff. Roles reversed. Vandy is 9-2, Tennessee trying to keep them out of the playoff. I think in this game, Vandy hits 40. That offense for the Commodores is clicking on another level. They put up 31 on Texas, 45 on Auburn. Those are both really good defenses, and then 45 on Kentucky. And now you go into Tennessee, whose defense is 14th in the SEC in yards per game and points per game allowed. Diego Pavia, who needs to be in New York for the Heisman ceremony, right, barring a bad game on Saturday. He's deep shots to Trey Richardson, over the middle to Eli Stowers, one of the better rushing attacks in the SEC. This offense is clicking all over the place. But that's also a mirror image for the other side of the ball, because Vandy is 15th in the SEC in pass defense. So Joey Aguilar and those receivers could definitely pick them apart. But they are 5th in rushing defense, is Vanderbilt. And Tennessee likes to do the power running game to Deshaun Bishop, Star Thomas, Peyton Lewis, to really set up those deep shots. So can Vandy take away the run and then contain the explosives in the passing game? That's how Vandy has to get this done to slow down Tennessee. But I think this could be one of the most electric games of the weekend, maybe even of the season. And I think that Vandy gets one more stop than Tennessee does. My biggest worry with Vanderbilt here is that this is a place where this program, not just this team, this institution and this program has never been here. This is a playoff game for Vanderbilt. Because if they win this game, they probably need a bit of help, but they have a good shot to get in. If you lose, you're dead. So my question is, where is this team mentally to go capitalize on this spot that no other Vanderbilt team has been? But you have Clark Lee and Diego Pavia leading the team on the road as underdogs. I like it. So give me Vandy 42-34. I think the Commodores are able to get it done and go to 10-2 and submit their playoff resume to the committee. We got 2 left. Let's go to Jordan Hare. Alabama at Auburn in the Iron Bowl. Bama laying 6.5, total at 46.5. This is Bama fans' worst nightmare. All of this context here. You got everything on the line. You have 2 losses already. This is for the playoff. This is to go to Atlanta. And you're at an Auburn team who has nothing to lose. And the matchup, I think, also kind of favors Auburn because you have Deuce Knight, the true freshman quarterback who debuted last week against Mercer, absolutely electric with his legs. And if you look at mobile quarterbacks against Bama this year, Thomas Castellanos had 78 yards and a touchdown. Diego Pavia, in a bad game for him, still got to 58 yards on the ground. And Lenore Sellers ran for 67 yards and a touchdown. Deuce just ran for 162 and 4 touchdowns in his debut. I understand it was against Mercer, but human beings don't just do that in their debuts. So you have a young, electric quarterback who there's not a lot of tape on. You have one game of tape on him. It was against a Mercer team who doesn't even matter. So then Bama still doesn't really know what to do about Deuce Knight. And for Alabama, they do have the top passing defense in the conference, so I don't think Auburn will be able to establish Deuce through the air. I think they'll still get a few good completions to guys like Cam Coleman, Eric Singleton, all that. But it's really going to be on the ground. And we know that Alabama's not going to run the ball. They're one of the most one-dimensional teams in the country. And they're going to have to throw it around. Auburn has the 11th best pass defense in the SEC in yards per game, which is not great. But they have forced 11 picks, which is tied for third in the conference. So it's kind of a go big or go home passing defense for Auburn. And we saw it with Oklahoma. They showed everybody that committing to the pass, knowing that Bama's not going to run the ball very well, you can get some wins. You can turn Ty Simpson over. So you can let him throw for 280, pick him off twice, right? So can Auburn do that same thing with their secondary that's able to force picks? Might allow some yards, but if you can jump that one route, it can change the entire game. And right now, it feels like, this is back to Auburn here, it feels like John Summerall to Auburn has a lot of steam. What if Lane Kiffin leaves and the Ole Miss job opens up? And then Ole Miss wants Summerall back. DJ Durkin wants this Auburn job. So if he really wants that job, getting a win against Bama in this spot to get bowl eligible and also just to kill Bama's playoff hopes, that's a pretty good pitch to get this job full time. So I know that Durkin's going to want it for obvious reasons. Auburn's going to want it because they're Auburn hosting Alabama and they have nothing to lose. And I think Alabama comes out tight because there is a massive mental block here to get over. Being in Jordan-Hare at night with everything on the line, you're a road favorite under DeBoer. Like, they've seen this movie play out 100 times. I'm picking the chaos here. I think Auburn wins this game 24-20, right? And this would be a big-time win for Vandy if Auburn beats Bama because Bama would have the edge over Vandy with the same record in the head-to-head. If you give Bama that third loss, that spot opens up. So this game has massive implications if Auburn does win, and I think that's what happens. Give me Auburn 24-20. And then the final game of this week, Texas A&M at Texas. The Aggies are laying 2.5, total of 51.5. This is a big game. Is it really, though? Because A&M is in the playoffs regardless. They may miss out on Atlanta, but is that even a bad thing? Because then you play one less game, you have more time to get healthy. So we'll see. And in my opinion, you can't let Texas in the playoff even if they win this game. Unless there's total chaos elsewhere, Texas is done. They have 3 losses. Hard stop. And now look, I understand that both fan bases want it. It is a rivalry. There's so much on the line for all the fans, and they won't listen to it's not a big game talk. And that's totally fair. I wouldn't either if my team was in this spot. But zooming out 30,000 feet, this game doesn't have massive implications aside from A&M getting a bye in the playoff. That's about it. But on to the X's and O's here. The Aggies have looked dominant really all year. Marcel Reed is up there for the Heisman. Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver are electric at receiver, and Cassius Howell leading that defense off the edge is horrifying. Despite all that, you're favored by less than a field goal in DKR. Texas is still one of the most talented teams in the country, and I've been very encouraged by Arch's development as the year has progressed. Texas's defense is still Texas's defense. Can they run the ball? Because I don't believe that a one-dimensional attack is going to get you very much against the Aggies' defense. And for Texas defensively, what's the status of Anthony Hill? He was questionable on this week's injury report after missing last week. If he is hurt or just not 100% out there, Ty Anthony Smith, their other linebacker, is also out for the first half. So you're looking at a potential scenario where Texas is without their top 2 linebackers for half of this game. You can't fall behind getting pushed around like that for a half against A&M and make up for it. So if that's where this Texas defense is at, I have a lot of concerns for how that first half could go for the Longhorns. So if that's how the front 7 matchup is, banged up, favor of the Aggies, I also like A&M's receivers versus Texas secondary. I like that matchup a lot for A&M. I think that big plays will be there for Reed downfield to Craver and Concepcion. The line being less than the field goal seems like a warning. I'm going to ignore it. I might be walking into a trap, but who cares? I think A&M wins this game 28-20. I think they go 12-0. They go undefeated in the SEC, which I did not think was possible coming into the year, and they cement themselves as a top 4 seed, and they'll go to Atlanta. And for Texas, finishing 8-4 is disappointing, but I think you have to look at the second half of the year as promising because you saw Arch develop. You saw him start to click with those receivers. You saw your defensive players be as good as you thought they could be. So it'll be disappointing overall for the Longhorns, but you can look towards next year. The year where I always thought that was the year you're in on Arch, and that is their championship shot next year. So that'll do it. That is our Week 14 rivalry week preview for the SEC. This is the best week of the year, and I'm not hearing questions. I'm not hearing any pushback on that because, frankly, I don't care. This is the best weekend of the year. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I have been Will Thomas. Sit back and enjoy this awesome last regular season week of the college football season.